Oh, are we live now? Apparently. I wonder how many people I lost in the 9 minutes that YouTube wasn't functioning to support my video. And I wonder how much you're going to be able to see with this light in the background that I haven't had time to check. Ah, life online is exciting, isn't it? So, okay, daily practice. It's just coming on for 4:10. Little bit of introduction. Take it gently. Do only what you can. Only what feels easy and comfortable and pleasurable. That's how you will get the most out of it. I'll be talking through the whole thing in the first person. So it's very much my practice that I invite you to follow along with. So I'll be saying, yeah, everything in the first person. I'm doing this, I'm noticing such and such. I invite you to kind of consider that as like simultaneously a guide and a kind of potential first person narrative or monologue for yourself as well. So yeah, my first person instructions and observations will hopefully enable you to join me. I'm going to do quite a lot of stuff facing down today, so I hope that you'll be able to hear me. I'll probably be talking into the carpet a lot. Just in case alarm again. This time I'll do it at 4:45. So we finish around 4:50, I guess. I'm always aiming for about 40 to 50 minutes, just so that you know. But we'll run a little bit. I was on the phone, I was like, sorry, I'm just entering my alarm, but obviously you can see that I'm entering my alarm. So yeah, I have had a lot of really lovely comments and feedback and people getting in touch with me through like personal channels with really lovely commenting with. It's lovely that it's international, connecting with people internationally and experiencing this strange time together and sharing a practice throughout that time. But I've also got people inquiring with me for classes and that kind of thing. And it would be really nice if your feedback for these sessions were either in the comments section on my YouTube channel or the comments section on my website directly, or if you could share it with friends, and if you like it, obviously recommend it, or share something about it on Instagram. Plenty of ways. Maybe I'll do another post on Instagram today and people can share that if they like. Yeah, so today's Thursday. I'm gonna get a bit more muscular again today, with the intention of going incredibly gently tomorrow. As people have different needs, please just really feel free to join in when you want, stop when you want, take your own diversions when you want, make it more creative or pare it right down and make it really simple, enjoyable and manageable for you. So you can tell that I was running late and panic eating mini eggs while waiting for the internet to work again. So multitasking isn't efficient. Just in case alarm set for 4:50 I'm going to do. Thanks for hanging around while I chat. Okay. So let's start lying on our backs. And basically this is day 4. I've achieved nothing today. So I'm just going to process that while I work. Challenging and entertaining. Appreciating the commitment to doing something daily despite the challenges. Roll my head to side a little bit. And notice if it goes one way a little more than the other. I'm not pushing, I'm just rolling the head and observing, and then I leave it. I do, the contact of the heels with the ground tells me something about the rotation of my legs. I notice my tummy making a little noise. Trying to practice a sort of soft awareness where I can focus on parts of the body. But like any mindful practice, I come and go from that and I notice what else is going on. I notice the rotation of my legs. I trace up from the contact of my heels or my feet with the ground, through the back of the leg or the side of the leg, getting an impression of where I soften into the ground and where my body rises away from the ground. Little gaps in the back of the knee, where my thighs make contact with the ground, how that's a little different on one side and the other. Just giving some attention to all these different parts of the body. My weight is rolled a little to one side on my pelvis, a little to one side and down. I'm trying to learn about the structure and organization of my own body through paying attention to how my body makes contact with the floor. My pelvis is a little clearer for me. I try to sense the architecture of the little bridge under my lower back, how it feels on either side. I notice when my upper body comes back in contact with the ground, scanning up past my lower ribs and the waistline to my mid ribs, my upper back and shoulders. I notice how my shoulders are in contact with the ground, and I take my attention to the outer tip of each shoulder, where the arms hang down from. Because from there I can sense the distance between each shoulder and the ground. I can sense one side of my body, the shoulder is a little bit closer towards the ground than on the other side. Then I sense the line and curve of each arm, the direction of each arm in space, and how my arms are making contact. I sense how my hands are making contact with the floor, comparing both sides. I'm always sensing whether the breath moves my chest or my back or my belly. Already today, I feel the breath moving down into my belly. And then I sense the gap under my neck. And I try to get an impression of the architecture of the bridge under my neck as well, comparing either side. I sense, as I often do, as people often do, again, a difference between one side and the other. And then I just finish by coming back to rolling my head. I notice already the way that my head is able to roll on the floor. And again, a little aside, if you're new to this, now that I'm able to roll my head to the left and actually look to camera. When I say, for example, I'm able to roll my head one way more than the other, or I say, now I can roll my head both ways, or I say, now I can breathe in this way, those things that we all notice will be different for everybody. So really don't worry if my changes progress in a very different way from yours. So if you're new to it, really just take what I'm saying about my own experience as a guide for you to notice things about your experience, not as a guide about what is correct or not. I roll my head a few more times. I release my jaw, I release my eyes. My eyes kind of space out and go into a soft focus. Even though my eyes are closed, I can have a soft focus behind my eyelids. And then I bend both knees and stand both feet. And I take a little moment and make sure I've got space. And I just take a little moment a few times to have any stretch I want. Have a little wriggle on the floor. And when I've made myself as comfortable as I go and softening, giving in a little bit. When I've done that, I start to roll in any way I can from one side to the other. And I just take it at any speed I want. I'm gonna do a slightly exaggerated kind of laziness, like letting things flop a little bit. So ultimately, I'm doing what feels good. I've done quite a few times rolling side to side now, but maybe in the same space of time, I could have just rolled once onto one side, and that would have been the right speed. I'm kind of flopping around a little bit and being as lazy about it as I can. As I go, I'm paying attention to my contact with the ground. I'm letting my feet, my hands, my arms and legs help me roll the weight of my torso from one side to the other. And then I just continue to wriggle a little bit and do it in whatever way is comfortable. When I want to, I just pause, feeling my breath settle. I rest on my side. And my tongue can relax. And then I keep going. I have my eyes open sometimes, closed sometimes. And so far, all the time, I'm keeping my head really heavy on the ground and trying to use my arms, legs, and torso to make the least effort possible in order just to roll from side to side as comfortably as I can. And I'm trying to make no effort in my neck whatsoever. So my head is just getting passively rolled. The head is just going along for the ride as the pelvis and shoulders twist. Twist is not the right word. Roll. Softly release. Rolling side to side like a little. And then I rest again on my side, and on the side I didn't rest in before. I feel my ribs and my waistline expanding and sinking with my breath. And then I just wriggle on the. First of all, I just lie with the ground changes. I try to scan up through from my toes and their contact on the ground now. Just as I did when I was lying on my back, but a little bit quicker, with a slightly lighter touch to my type of attention. From the toes, noticing where the heels are flopped in space, up through the legs, to my knees, how my knees make contact with the floor, my thighs. Seeing if I can sense anything about the way the pelvis is lying. I feel how my belly pushes into the floor as I breathe. I take my attention up through my back, my ribs. I feel how my chest and the upper ribs press into the floor. I notice how, as I lie on my front, my shoulders are lifted away from the floor a little. And I notice which side I chose to turn my head and how I chose to position my arms. And then the hand that I'm looking towards, I have my head turned to one side, and the hand that I'm looking towards, I keep that hand up on the floor in front of my face. So the whole arm is still on the ground, my elbows on the ground. My fingers are spread out on the floor. I have a really nice, kind of juicy contact with my hand against the ground. Belly is spilling out onto the floor. And I notice that my shoulders are moving, my ribs are moving, my spine is rolling, my pelvis is rolling a little bit. And then I just take a rest and bring my arm back down again. I have my head turned the same way. It's still the hand that I'm looking at that I bring up to standing. I spread my fingers out on the ground. Let the pushing of my hand into the ground roll my whole torso a little bit, so that as I push my hand into the ground, I can look down to drag up just a few millimeters on the floor towards my nose as I look down. I look down towards my knee as I push my hand into the floor. And as I do that, just because my pelvis rolls and my leg is relaxed, my knee automatically drags a little bit up towards my nose, towards my hand. And then I give up and rest again. I leave my arm on the ground now. And instead of pushing my hand into the floor, I leave my upper body passive. And I just start to draw the same side knee up along the floor just a little bit, and then push it down again. So my hip is externally rotated. My foot turns out so that eventually the whole inner edge of my foot is in contact with the floor. And I can drag my knee up towards my belly. Every time I do it, I'm looking for the easiest, laziest way. For me, this is the side where I have some problems with my psoas. And I'm just going so gently, and I give up already. And I revisit it, pushing the foot away so the leg is long, and then turning the leg out so the inner edge of the thigh comes towards. I just try to let my belly be soft, my chest be soft, my eyes and jaw soft. I try to continue to cultivate that spirit of the beginning of the lesson where I really just, it's like I just really don't care all that much about the movement. I kind of flop around a little bit and just treat it like whatever, it doesn't really matter. And then I rest the leg down for a moment. I bring my hand back to standing. And again, I push my hand into the floor. I let my knee drag up towards my hand. I let my hand look down towards my knee, and I start to grow that movement. And then I push my foot away as I release the pressure with the hand and roll flat onto my belly again as my head comes back to where it started. I'm trying to make it a simultaneous movement. My hand pushes into the floor. The same side leg turns out. My belly flops. My nose starts to look down towards my knee as my knee starts to draw up towards my nose. And then I push my foot away again as I release the pressure through the hand and roll back to lie on my belly. And I just do it a few more times, trying to play with the speed, trying to find something more pleasurable. It's never perfect. These are basic developmental about it. And play with it a bit, wriggle around a bit more, flex my foot, maybe lift my head off the floor, make it juicier, do some variations. My hand can help around, and I use my hand pushing into the floor to let my knee draw up towards my nose as my nose dips down towards my... And I roll onto my back and take a full rest. I'm lying again with my arms and legs long. How it's changed. Today I can sense that it's changed dramatically, but I can't actually say how. It's not something I can put my finger on. Maybe I feel more spread out. Definitely one shoulder is flopped down closer to the ground. I feel I'm spreading out a little bit more. I roll my head side to side and I see how that feels. And I rest that, and I just take a few more breaths, allowing myself to scan through the body. I want. And when I take a full rest like this, I use it to really check in with myself that I'm only doing as much as is comfortable and pleasurable. So much of this stuff is ripped off Feldenkrais, the Feldenkrais method. And I'm really just trying to pay attention to my own limits and not push out of some desire to prove or improve even. I'm instead testing what's possible within my softly, pleasurably, not suddenly, not in such a way that is a shock for me. Always in a way where I can stop or slow down or back off or try a different approach, try a different tactic, explore something new, give up altogether, come back another day. And I roll onto my belly again, and I'm going to do the other side now. So I'm rolling the complicated way for the sake of camera. So don't be confused about my own left and right if you're watching. Instead, just roll onto our bellies. On this side, I start in a different position. I start by bringing my knee up and having my hand already pressed for a push-up. Already, this position will be so different for everybody. I notice I'm slipping out of the first person a lot more today. It's my second hand, the hand I haven't had standing for press up, that I now have standing for press up. My fingers are spread out onto the floor, finding somewhere comfortable. And I've drawn up the same knee on the same side, and I just bend my head down a little bit to look towards that knee already. And from there, I push that leg down and away, and I feel that as that leg coming up towards my nose, towards my hand, only wherever it's comfortable. And from there again, and I do it again. I bring the knee up and I push it down. I bring the knee up and I look at it. I'm just exploring. Always this hand helps me pushing onto the floor. I notice variation without even thinking about it. A majorly different variation. But this is just what's comfortable for me on my second side. Away from the floor. There's more of an action through my back. This is probably because of where my other hand is placed. And I'm ready to start again. My head is facing still towards my second side. My second arm comes up. This time, my back arm is in a different place. Before I had it up, but now I have it down. I'm just literally putting the arm wherever it's interesting for me to try. Testing out the movement now with my arm in a different position. Drawing the knee up. Same knee, pushing the foot away. Second knee, second foot, second side still. Pushing away. And starting to vary. Every time I do it, I try and do it slightly differently. I do some mini ones that are almost invisible from the outside. My hand is still standing, but the movement is so small, I can feel how subtle a movement of my leg moves through my center. As I do this mini variety, I feel my shoulder blades sliding against my back. I feel my pelvis rolling. I feel I need to move my head on the floor to make myself comfortable. I make it so small that it's almost away from my knee as my knee moves away from my head. I do a big one just to remember what the movement is, drawing the knee towards the head towards the knee, using my hand always to help me on the ground, and then releasing and pushing away, using the length of the leg, rolling my head, flopping through the rest of the body. I do another big one because I want to. Do another big one because I want to. Turns out I want to do big ones. And then I just decide, okay, I'll do some small ones again because I think it's probably good for me. To notice the more subtle way that even just the idea of this movement passes through my back for a full rest. And I notice how I just have a little shuffle just to adapt the way that I'm lying now that I feel my posture and my alignment. And then I roll onto my belly. So I'm lying on my belly. I've got my forehead on the floor and I've got both hands for standing. I turn towards one side as I draw the knee up on that side. I push it away and my head comes back through the center. I turn towards the other side, and as I do that, I look towards my knee as my knee draws up towards my nose. I push the leg away. I'm doing exactly what I did, but now on both sides. One side and then the other. Man, this static is going to be crazy on my hair. I'm using my hands on the floor like a lizard. I'm letting my knee drag. I'm feeling my center move. I'm trying to relax my jaw. I want to do a smaller version. I take my hands down by my side, but it's so small now that it's more just a rolling of the legs on the ground and a rolling of the pelvis. The weight of my shoulders on the ground means that rather than rolling from side to side, I'm getting more of a twist through my torso because my pelvis rolls, but my chest doesn't so much. I stand my hands again, and I make the movement a little bit bigger and bigger and bigger. So my knee starts to come off the floor. And now I'm starting to take my head towards my foot and push it away. My head towards my foot. My hands stay in the same place on the floor. My hair goes crazy. I do some variations trying to keep my knee on the floor, and I see how far can I go without straining, where it feels good. It's an effort, but it's not a strain. And I rest lying on my belly with my arms in whatever position is comfortable. And I roll to lie on my back for the last time. Just to sense my contact with the ground. I spread myself out. I wriggle my hands and feet a little bit to feel how my hands and feet connect to my center. Put my hands below my belly button, above my pubic bone, and I just feel my center. To my belly, which is in front of my lower back, which is the upper part of my body. This juncture between the upper and lower halves of my body. And I give my belly a little rub, and I roll. And I start to just roll up and roll down. Whatever I can manage to use this wriggling of my center to come into a slightly more active abdominal engagement, reaching my arms and legs away through space in any way possible, getting more active. I can still rest when I want. Have a little shake. Have a little shake. I see if I can do some sit-ups while shaking at the same time. Releasing my jaw. Shaking my belly. Shaking. I really feel my lower belly and my upper belly working and twisting. My shoulders trying to stay soft and relaxing. And maybe it just has to be really small and the whole back stays on the floor and that's enough. Maybe the shake is almost invisible. Or maybe you want to go big. Maybe I do want to go big and shake. And I realize I do one side more than the other. So I try and go to the other side a little bit more. And then I roll over onto my belly. And I have my hands for press up. And I revisit this movement. But I come up onto all fours now. And I'm going through all fours. Still feeling that I can look towards one knee, look towards the other knee. Take more weight on my hands. Maybe my knees come off the floor. In fact, my knees do come off the floor. I'm shifting weight from one side to the other. I'm feeling that as I push my feet into the ground or push my knees into the ground, that pushes my back away from the floor and that supports my back. So my abdominals push up to support my back. I take my hands and feet off the floor in as many different ways as I possibly can. And sometimes I'm trying to twist. And sometimes it's just good to see what's it like to do a press up. And then what's it like to stretch. And all of those things can be done with the hands and knees, or hands and feet, or hands and elbows. And I'm shifting my weight. Shifting my weight. And I look at 3 points to 2 points. One, I'm not gonna. And I play with my head being on the floor as well. Where do I want, what points are around? Letting my belly out. Maybe I want to really work. Push. Feel the strength of the floor. Maybe I want to push my bottom in the air. Stretch my legs out a little bit. Look for my knees. And I just gradually shift my weight between my feet, my knees, my hands, my elbows, and my head. Only ever doing what's comfortable. I know that it can be really, I feel I want to stretch a little bit. And I just take a last few seconds to do anything I feel I haven't done that I wanted to do. Twisting a little bit, maybe. Stretching. All the time soft, all the time. Variations. Playing with how my feet are. And then I take my time to shift my weight to my feet and come to standing. I just let my arms go. I let my jaw go. And I notice what it's like to be vertical. Try not to think about my hair. I feel the contact of my feet with the floor. The energy through my body. The after effect of the movement I've done. I open my eyes, shifting my weight a little bit from side to side, letting it turn me, looking around, just taking in the space and then going into a walk when I feel like it, keeping it quite loose. Again, practicing this attention which can take in the room around me, at the same time as taking in my own body, my own experience, my own feelings, my own senses. I notice that today I just want to walk around in tiny little circles. And for running late today. All feedback much appreciated. And yeah, pass it on. And of course, any support in terms of social media stuff is great. Also, like I said yesterday, feel free to send over any requests or questions that you have. Yeah, back again